How guys doing? Yes, migration for the nation is finally here. All the migration news has come up on the Age of Empires mobile official Discord. So if you're not part of it, don't worry, I've got you covered. But there is kind of some sad times because a lot of people are expecting more information that it actually shares. And you'll see what we mean when we get through all of the images, because you will have one age-old question. And don't worry, I think I have the answer to that. So smash that, comment and subscribe. Let's dive into what is going on, because the migration is here. And as many people will know, they've kind of given us this nice little message, you know, to keep us all happy on the second migration event. However, as we know, with the new pre-event stage here, this is where you as a alliance leader of the #1 alliance, you're going to be obviously in charge of migration. And we knew this was coming. It was addressed in the dev column, but now it's telling you right here all of that information. So basically, if you don't want the job of being in charge of who gets to come in and who doesn't get to come in, you need to make sure you pass alliance leadership to the person that is going to be in charge of that. And obviously they need to be in the highest power alliance. So we already knew about this. This was the first thing to do with migration. Everyone was kind of like, okay, no problem. But then from here, we have the next one, which is the migration preview. And this is when things, I'll be honest, kind of, you know, seem a little bit familiar, and you'll know where we're going with this, right? So during this stage, the Empire administrators can edit the migration power limit and Empire announcement, similar as we did to the good old migration event in the first time, right? The migration chat channel is going to be open, and governors interested in migrating can contact administrators of their favored empires in advance to expedite their approval stage. This is exactly what happened last time. So now in the migration applications during the stage, governors can submit migration applications to their empires. Obviously, the guy who is the alliance leader of the highest powered alliance is going to be the one who's going to go through this. And the Empire administrators reviews migration applications, as I just said, and when it is approved, the migration slot is deducted from the Empire's quota for the event, right? If the migration quota reaches 0, no more applications can be approved. And once an application is approved, they must complete their migration within the time limit. So this is super important, because you might be online and you might obviously go to join or migrate to another empire. But the thing is, if you get accepted but you don't migrate there because maybe you're busy, you're at work or something, you're going to miss out. So you're going to, I think, go through that whole process again. There is a time on it, so just be wary. I'm assuming from how they phrased this, but we'll see it properly for anyone who goes through that maybe struggle. Additionally though, in this migration event, we allow kings to migrate and provide kings with exclusive reminders. After a king migrates, the alliance leader occupying the imperial seal will automatically become the new king. Original king's permissions will be cleared and transferred to the new king. So basically what this is saying is, even if you're in a king position, you're not having to be scared of being in that position, because as soon as you leave or migrate, you are going to just pass that king buff to the alliance leader, which is fair play, because again, if they're going to be leaving or they're migrating, it's basically going to go to whoever should be in charge at the end of the day of the last bit. So kind of cool. I actually do like this. Quite nice little change that they're putting on there. Then there's free migration. During the stage, governors below their favored empire migration power limit can freely migrate, and leftover regular migration slots will turn into free migration slots. So again, very similar to what we know. So as you can see through the migration preview so far, it is exactly the same. And the thing is, this is where we get the rules, and this is where a lot of people have been a little bit ticked off with this, because you can see with each migration zone, empires classed as either leading empires or regular empires based on their strength. In this migration event, leading empires will still have 50 slots. So they've not increased the slots for the big guys, which some people might say is perfectly fine. However, the regular empires get 75 slots. And I think a lot of people will agree. Obviously, 75 slots is a lot, but I don't think 75 slots is enough For any empire, let's be real, to get a considerable amount of power, especially if they're trying to be a competitive empire, this is, and catch up to the big dogs. That's just how things are going to work out. So it's a bit of an issue for that. So we'll see how things go for migration. The special slots says leading leading empires will have 4, regular empires will have 6. Again, I'd love to see a little bit more, maybe 5 and 10 would be interesting, or even a bit more, but it's one of those sad things. This is something that we've seen in the last event, and it's not really been addressed here, and a lot of people was hoping it would be more, let's be real. So migration power limits for this event. This is a pretty big POG W for the games, just to let everyone know. So Realm 1, Kingdom 1 to 10, Empire 1 to 195. And this is where I assume, even though we don't get to see it properly, is going to be the brackets potentially of the future. We don't know until they give us some more information, but leading empires can set their power limit cap to 130 million. So basically, if you're in the top 20%, you can have 130 million, but the regular empires can set it up to 140 million. Obviously, this doesn't seem like much, but depending on the person who's migrating, if it's a specialist count or not, obviously that does make a big difference. So that I like. I do like this. Maybe some people will agree in the comment section down below that maybe it needs to be a little bit lower, you know, just to make things a little bit more fairer. So maybe the top kingdoms only get 100 million. Who knows? I'm not saying they should. I'm just trying to give an example of how this could obviously work out. So a lot of people are happy about the power cap. I think even myself will agree, happy about the potential power cap. So as you guys will know now, the migration costs for this event is going to be different compared to the last event. So pay attention to that, because that is going to be kind of where we don't get any of the big information on. So you'll notice from this, we're getting a lot of the basics, but not what we actually cared about. So here, you got to be set down at level 22. Obviously, no one's outside fighting, and no war buffs, no wounded troops. You're not a member of an alliance. You're not serving as the admin of any areas. And then your application has been approved for your favorite empire's administrator, and then you get to migrate, right? Because when it comes to the migration passes, it just says you're going to need how many passes you're going to need. And if you guys are wondering, it is based on your historical power. So even if you're right now, right, you're 90 million power, but before you was 110 million because you had a lot more troops, or you know, whatever you had, right? Well, it's still going to count you as 110 million. So make sure you remember that. So if you are trying to save yourself migration passes right now, you shouldn't be pushing in power. You shouldn't. It's simple as that. If you're not below these thresholds, don't push power. Try and save yourself some money, obviously, on migrating, and then go forward. So that is the third slide, and then come to the fourth slide. There is some extra notes and other adjustments that some people enjoy, including myself. I'm going to say it's pretty good, including the power cap. Honestly, it is pretty good that they've done that. A lot of people were worried that they wouldn't. But when it comes to these extra notes, resources and progress from purchases and top-ups will be retained. So all your progress from your current battle passes will be sent via mail and after migration is complete. Because I believe, maybe I'm wrong, some people had the experience that if you went back in certain empires, it actually resets, so you doubled up on a lot of stuff, including events, which was quite nuts. But who knows if that's going to be the case here. Your first top-up pack and Empire Glory pack purchase status will be reset after migration. So yeah, that's pretty good. So if you really want to crack it out, you can crack it out. I'm just saying. Your citadel's unprotected resources will only be retained up to your warehouse limit. Everyone should know that. So if you've got billions and billions and billions, it might be, you know, a sad time, because you're going to see them all get deleted, and you're going to have to regather all of that. Your gameplay progress will be preserved. As you know, your progress of all events you've currently done is going to be preserved, will be reset, it says. So as Mightiest Governor, Mightiest Empire, and Stellar Glory, that's interesting. So please make sure to claim your rewards for the progress. So basically, if I'm reading that right, maybe I'm wrong, 0.5, if you are migrating compared to before, you're going to lose your Stellar Glory points and ranking, right? But I think many people, including me, expect this to happen after Stellar Glory anyway, so it shouldn't make an impact, but that might be something we have to keep an eye on, how this actually works, because I know a lot of people, when they migrated, kept, I think, their points from the last migration, so it caused giant fluctuations to occur during the rankings, which is fair play. But if they're trying to stop that, again, fair play to them if they're trying to stop to it. If you already completed Wonder Contest or Battle of Dawn, obviously you can't go into it, which is fair enough. Your server mail will be cleared of all available rewards after automatically claimed. Nice. And your friend list, group chats, and private message will be all preserved. Fair play. So the real good thing is actually these over adjustments. These things I would say many people expect to happen. These are just kind of like the nuances in migration. However, these bits are quite good. So point 1, we're improving how migration affects the mightiest empire rankings data display. So if a governor completes their migration before the mightiest empire settlement, their data will be wiped from the original server rankings. And if a governor migrates after the mightiest empire settlement, their original server ranking data will stay intact. So basically what it is telling you, if you migrate during your mightiest empire, everything you've done is getting reset. It's not going to contribute to the new empire, which I actually think is quite fair because it keeps everything rolling to how it was. I know it will upset some people, but if you wait until you finish your mightiest empire and then migrate, hey, you keep everything, you've represented your empire for the last time, and now you're going to a new journey, right? So it kind of makes sense. I do like it. Some people might not like it. I apologize if you don't. But I think this is only fair because I think a lot of empires, especially in the last migration event, when it did affect the rankings really dramatically to so many different servers, it kind of caused big issues, let's be honest, right? So it's really interesting to see how things are going to occur. We are streamlining the alliance rejoining process. So after you migrate, the cooldown for leaving and joining alliances will be cleared. So you can now join an alliance straight away, which is much better because before it was just the simple rules that if you left an alliance, you had to wait for the cooldown. So it's nice the fact they're doing this during the good old migration. And we're updating new character creation system. Governors will be able to create new characters on the server they left, but won't be able to create new characters on servers they've moved to. So this is going to be interesting because I don't know how much we can exploit this. I know it sounds crazy, but what if I migrate, right, my main account from 64 to 40 or 42, 12, 87, whoever, right? I migrate. But then I just make a brand new account again in 64, get it to 22, and then in the next migration process, migrate that over. Because then, do I have 2 accounts in the same server? And if the answer is yes, technically I've got a little farm account there, which I could just hit myself to get the, the daily limit looting resources, and that's the only way we could get around it, right? But maybe that option is on the table. I'd love to hear your thoughts on, obviously, that on the comment section down below. So finishing it up on the migration, and this is obviously one thing which many people are going to be, again, upset about, because it is the last part of the whole migration news. Governors may run into different heroes availabilities during servers after migrating, obviously through the mightiest governor legendary advent for empires 1 through 195 once the migration events wraps up. Here are the specific changes. So December 1st to 7th, the mightiest governor top 10 rewards will include William the Conqueror, and December 15th will launch the legendary advent featuring Scipio, Zhao, Day, and Alp Arslan, right? So basically this is telling us we're going to be migrating, I think, pretty soon after this or during this, so everyone, including the old servers, the old empires like the beta servers and us in the global, have the same heroes, because this is the one big concern I had, making sure that everyone had the same heroes, especially if you're going into these brackets, and then we've refined the migration event into place. So that is everything on the migration event, and you can see, like, if I go back, it's just going to go back to the beginning. So there is a lot there. We know quite a lot. It's quite good that we've been given a lot, but there's some issues that I know many of you guys are probably addressing. We need to know the migration pass limits. We need to know the brackets, right? Because those are the things that are really, really important. Knowing where you're able to migrate. Because the first migration event was such a disaster because how limited the actual movement was of players that were trying to play the game. However, as I said with the migration post, I do think they're kind of giving us a little bit of an inclination of it, right? Because here you can see how the migration power event is going to work, and they have grouped everyone kind of together in the right package. So maybe empires, literally 195 going all the way back to Empire 1, and all the kingdom servers, which are the betas, might potentially be one bracket. I'm not saying they are, but potentially it is, because they're having the exact same power limits. They're running the same ones. While you can see here, Empire's 196 to 293, they have a different power limit, right? So in my eyes, it looks like this is going to be one bracket and this is going to be the second bracket. Is there going to be more sub brackets in between? I can't say yes and I can't say no. But it definitely looks like if you're in Empire 1, you might be able to migrate all the way up to Empire's 195. Who knows until they give us that bracket system for the migration event. But I do think that gives us a little bit of an insight on what we're able to do, right? So, migrations covered, guys. That is all the migration news on Discord. Obviously giving you my little bit of, insight on it, how I think about it, and how I expect it to potentially work. So until the next one, to do, smash like, comment, and subscribe. Till then, stay safe, stay sneaky. Peace out.